So Jason and I were at an impasse. I thought he should drive me home, and he thought that because it was out of his way, I should just take a cab. Jason was my boyfriend, and we had just been at a show seeing a band. It was late at night. I was broke. So when the impasse got to the sort of like a louder part, the front man of the band, who is an acquaintance of Jason's, goes to me and says, well, where do you live? And I say, well, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I live nearby. I'll give you a ride. And I'm like, okay. It took me 1 second to say, okay, bye, Jason. And I get into the car with this musician. Let me tell you, by the way, that I had a huge crush on this guy. I had a boyfriend, but you can have crushes when you have a boyfriend. And he wrote amazing music, like, melt your clothes off music, and he was a pretty seemingly nice guy. And and he was hot. I mean, hot for me. So, like Jim from The Office, but nerdier, so really hot. So I'm in the car with him, and we're quiet because we don't know each other that well. He's an acquaintance of my boyfriend's, and we're riding, and he just, after a little quiet time, he says, I have some pot at home. Do you want to come over? And I was like, pause. By the way, I had never smoked pot before. I was a very good, nerdy girl. I had just graduated college. All my friends were really nerdy. The craziest thing we did was play Settlers of Catan and drink beer. Like, that was nuts for us, right? So never tried pot in my life. But I take another second and I go, okay. And so for the rest of the car ride, I start getting really excited, as I am prone to do. And so I start fantasizing about this, evening and how it's going to go. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to go and have some fun conversation, and then we're going to smoke together, and then maybe we're going to make out, and then, we're going to have, like, eventually some passionate, dirty sex, like you have with a musician, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking. And so then, it's going to all go really well. But then, because it's complicated, he just broke up with his wife. I didn't know that. And I had a boyfriend. So it's going to be complicated. So it's just going to happen that one night. It's going to be that one night that we remember for the rest of our lives. And he's going to write a song about me. And I'm going to know every time I hear this song, yeah, this is about that one time when I had that fight with Jason and I went home with this other guy. Okay, so we get to his house, and it starts going the way I think it's going to go, right? We're having this fun conversation. He actually, grabs his banjo and starts, strumming, sort of distractedly while we're talking and, telling jokes. I love telling jokes. That's the only way I know how to, break tension. And so we're just, chatting, and he's like, oh, I'm going to play you this new song I wrote, and he starts playing, and, clothes melting off, right? So I'm just I'm ready. But, I'm taking my time and playing it cool because I'm cool like that, right? I don't want to rush it. I'm just just let it play out the way that you think it should play out. And then he brings out this bong. By the way, I had never seen one in real life before, right? And so I have no idea what to do with it. And so I'm pretending oh, well, it's just because in Venezuela, we only smoke joints. So, there are no bongs in Venezuela. But this is all pretend, right? I had never touched the thing in my life. And so as he shows me how to use it, and he's amused by my Venezuelan-ness, and I'm playing it up because I know that's probably making me more exotic and more sexy, right? And so then, he's playing music, and I start feeling really, really not good, right? I'm going to die or throw up or die and then throw up, And so I run into the bathroom and I lock myself in, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? and I feel like now my fantasy is like turning into a nightmare where I die in this musician's house, and then everyone knows that I went home with this guy when I had a boyfriend and he had just broken up with his wife, and I'm this dead body that's like ruining his career, his beautiful career. And so I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And so for a while I think I'm gonna die, and I don't. And I stay there for a long time, and then I'm like, oh man, now he thinks I'm shitting, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And so, like, at any rate, the sexy moment, gone. No clothes melting off. And so I just walk out of the bathroom and like maybe half an hour later, and I'm just like, I need to go home. So he drives me home, and I, never see him again. And, I guess this is a story about not having sex, not being good at doing drugs, and really a banjo is not really rock and roll. So that's my story.